What's your worst I sent this text to the wrong person story? My college instructor and GF at the time had the same first name. It was long distance and we didn't see each other in person too often. I meant to send this text to my GF, not the instructor. "Hey babe, let's video chat later." She replied, "Oh, I think you meant to send this to someone else." Now you're thinking I apologized and was so embarrassed. No, I owned it and created a group text. We had a threesome the next month. Okay, I made that last part up. I crawled into a hole and wanted to die. I seriously thought about dropping the class for a bit lol. Wrote, "Duck it. We're going to Wisconsin. My mother's gonna give me hell but that's life." Meant to send it to my friend. Sent it to my mom instead. I sent my wife a text about how ducking annoying my boss was being, only to find out I had sent it to my boss. I sprinted to my boss who, thankfully, hadn't checked her phone yet. I just explained that I had accidentally sent her an inappropriate text that was meant for my wife and asked if I could delete it off her phone. She and I have had a pretty amiable relationship, so she felt comfortable handing me her phone without checking, so that I could delete the text and hand it right back. I once texted a group chat with my wife and mom, "I'm not wearing any panties. I'm a guy. It was a joke. My mom thinks I'm weird now. I just wanted to get laid." When I accidentally sent "I hate my BF's family their food is it" to his family group chat on FB instead of my friend's group chat. NSFW. My girlfriend at the time and I were really into sending pics to each other through Snapchat. I wore boxers which drove her bonkers, especially the bulge part. I sent a snap of it to her with a dirty comment, only to find out as soon as I sent it to her my fat thumbs pressed my co-worker's snap as well. I immediately called him like 2 hours before he normally wakes up to let him know not to open that snap. He didn't know what to do, so he just unfriended me. Later that night at work he gave me his phone so I could play the snap for my eyes only. I once sent "yup, got the day off. Boss thinks I'm sick" to my boss instead of my buddy. I was not in a committed relationship, but I was talking to a couple ladies. One of these was more of a friends with benefits arrangement. The other was someone I had met recently and had not been intimate with. While I was having a normal conversation with the new girl and a hot sexting sesh with the FWB, I woke up the next morning to find a text from the new girl that read, "What are you talking about? I had texted tell me about sucking my D to the wrong girl." Neither of those relationships really panned out. I was in high school and my boyfriend and I were in some kind of argument, and being the mature high schooler I was, I changed his contact name in my phone to something like "stupid asshole." However, I forgot I already had someone saved under that name in my phone, a previous ex. So when I went to text my boyfriend about our fight and how I really wanted to work it out blah blah blah, I sent it to the wrong asshole. So humiliating IA. I've posted this before, but one of the help desk team that worked for me was sending sexy texts to his wife Andrea when he sent a very graphic, descriptive text explaining exactly what he was going to do to her when he got home. Unfortunately, he sent it to Andrew, one of our biggest clients. Andrew's name was next to Andrea's and this guy's contacts on his phone. He came rushing into my office the second he'd sent it and I had to ring Andrew to limit the damage. Andrew was fine about it. He said he thought my guy seemed really friendly. No one got sacked, but there was much piss taking. When I was 17 sent "make sure you bring some potatoes" retard meant for a friend coming over to help cook then eat dinner. Accidentally sent to a girl I was planning a date for the weekend with. We did not go on the date. I was at dinner with my parents and saw that my sister's husband texted in our family chat. It was something like, "In 30 minutes I'm ducking your sexy body hard." I almost choked and kinda wanted to see the world burn, but told my parents to give me their phones because someone made a mistake spoiling Secret Santa. They were very thankful and very awkward. My parents were having a really bad day, relative was in the hospital, and my mom tried to do something nice for me and ducked it up completely. I, being an ungrateful cow, was pissed and I wrote a text to my sister in grand ungrateful cow fashion, and being so pissed I didn't realize I sent the text to my mom instead. This is the only time I ever made this mistake. I no longer text while enraged. I once decided to be spontaneous and sent my wife's text saying, I think it would be a good idea if I FK'd your socks off tonight. Too bad the most recent text from my wife happened to be a group text including my mother, her mother, and her grandmother. My mother is the hero of this story, though, because 5 minutes later she replied to the group. Okay, well, let us know if anything changes. I once sent a text to the wrong person and she then posted the screenshot of that text to our oops didn't mean to. I sent a picture of drugs into my class group chat when it was meant for a very different group chat. One time at work I got just the biggest urge to play with some titties. I sent my wife a text saying have your boobs out right when I get home. Turned out I actually sent it to my boss while he was in a meeting. He sent me a selfie with his man boob out. Okay, I'm ready lol, we still joke about it. Got broken up with by a girlfriend. Our mutual friend was having a birthday party at my house that following weekend. So of course the ex is going to be there. I got it faced and typed up a huge text to my buddy about how I was going to get her back when she came to the party. Sent it to her by mistake. She did not attend the party or respond to the text. I recently changed my number. Recent is a relative term in a small town. The number has been mine for almost a year. Whoever had the number before me didn't bother to tell anyone, including his doctors, that he changed his number. So for months I've been getting texts for medical appointments for Travis and his family friends asking about him. I always politely respond to each text. Sorry, I got this number several months ago. I'm not Travis, but I hope Travis is okay. I've weirdly become invested in his well-being. He might have cancer, and he didn't go to a big party he talked up. Travis, are you okay? This will get buried and rightfully downvoted, but I need to say it out loud. When my daughter was born I texted everyone telling them the good news, including a very close friend of mine who had, a few months before, lost his baby daughter. It was ugly and inconsiderate of me, and he cut all ties with me after it. I miss him so much, even though it's been almost 10 years, and I regret it to this day. I miss you, James, wherever you are, and I really hope you and your family are happy. Sent a link about bondage stuff I wanted to try with my partner to their mum. Welp. So I've got two friends with the same first name and similar last names. They were also in the same sorority, and I always organized my contacts with their Greek letters behind the names while I was in college. One of them I had a FWBs thing going on with. So once while I was mildly drunk and sent a wanna come over text at 1 AM to what I thought was my FWBs. It was the wrong one. That would have been fine and we could have laughed it off later. Instead she responded pretty much immediately with sure, and said she would be right over. She was dating one of my fraternity brothers and was completely serious about coming over. When I misclicked and added my mom to a Facebook meme group for my friend group, I didn't have admin privileges, so I couldn't undo the ad or remove her. I was in Las Vegas for a work trade conference thing, and I was texting with a vendor I was buddies with asking when he was arriving. He replied that he had too much going on that day and wouldn't be out until the following afternoon. My reply to my wife: no hookers and blow for you. I sent I finally found it. I'd be thrilled if you can rub it on my boobs when I get home. To my EBM guests, not my husband, iodine, for breast lumps. It worked, and I got a 5-star review. Well, this new girl and I were just starting to date. We had been friends for years and had pretty good communication, but now we started asking each other more personal questions. One night we were taking turns via text, back and forth, until she asked me, somewhat ironically, what the most embarrassed I ever remember being was. I told her it was the time my ex-wife and I decided to try pegging, but at the particular toy store we went to, their strap-ons were locked in a glass case, so I had to go up to this big burly tattooed clerk and ask for help. Meekly I followed him back to the case and asked for a particular toy. I kinda squeaked it out and he said, dude, speak up. I don't care what you want but I gotta be able to understand you. But I didn't send that to my girlfriend. I sent it to a member of our gaming group that I was not super close to. Well, needless to say, most of my game group asked me about that moment next session. One of the guys sent me a text saying I want to hop on your D, and that's how I learned he was gay. I sent "Who do I need to kill?" to a 13-person group chat that everyone hated, accidentally reviving the group chat. I was supposed to send that to a group when the kid that everyone felt the needed to protect said they had a bad day. One of the people in the 13-person chat said that they were calling the police. A few days later a cop showed up at my door asking if I meant what I said. I explained the situation to them and the cop just sighed and told me not to do it again. I learned 2 things a day. First, never send a text with any questionable words to someone without checking who you are sending it to. And second, deal with these situations in a calm, orderly manner. If you explain what happened without trying to make excuses, it can really help you out. I have a cousin with the same name as the woman I'm currently seeing. Yesterday morning, just a couple of hours before the family was scheduled to get together for Thanksgiving, I sent the following: "You ready to eat? I'm going to cover your ass in vanilla frosting and toasted coconut and eat you like a piece of cake." To my cousin instead of the intended entree. SMH. A friend of mine sent a ducking pic on a WhatsApp group for a uni class. Everyone saw it. Worst part was he ducked up when trying to delete it. He accidentally picked OSI delete only for me instead of OSI delete for everyone. Asking who I thought was my wife. "Do you want pads or tampons?" while at the store. Turned out to be my stepmom who was in her 70s. I was texting my boyfriend, before smartphones, about what rich my boss was. Then I got a text from my boss asking me to come into work and didn't immediately realize it. So I sent her a text that basically said what a horrible boss she was. That was a really awkward day at work. But she never mentioned it. I guess she was just glad I showed up because she really had been being rich. NSFW. For this one, I was on the receiving end of a wrong person text. My sister, who was in a relationship with a woman, accidentally sent me a text that said, "You gonna give me that fat pussy later?" Girl was scarred. I've got a pretty good one. I was buying an MPC 2500 from someone on Craigslist. He was selling it to me for $600, which is a pretty damn good deal. It's important to note here that I'm a white kid that grew up on a golf course. And for security I brought along my Korean girlfriend, who also lives on a golf course. So he has me drive to Newport News to meet him and make the exchange. When I arrive, it's basically the most ghetto place I've ever seen. I almost just turned around and said duck it, but 600 was way too good of a price. So against my best judgment, I decided to stay the course. At this point I decided to text my mom something along the lines of, "If I don't call you within 30 minutes, I want you to call the police. I'm at so and so address. Pretty sure I'm about to be robbed." Well, it turns out I didn't text it to my mom, but to the person I was buying the MPC from. I was humiliated. I'm thinking, great, now not only is this dude gonna rob me, but now I've also pissed him off. My GF was a combo of pissed, scared, and laughing hysterically. My mom had about the same reaction as my GF. The dude on the other hand was confused. I explained what happened to him, and he ended up being super cool about it. Thank God. In the end, I walked away with an MPC for $600. I once texted my then high school boyfriend a message complaining about how he was a useless drug addict who didn't care about me to my high school boyfriend who was a useless drug addict who didn't care about me. I got dumped and I had the audacity to cry about it, like it was a bad thing. High school me was a train wreck. Sent haggard hentai to one of my friends that likes Harry Potter instead of one of my other friends. They haven't read a Harry Potter book since. I took a picture of my poo because my stomach was aching and my stool was runny. I meant to ask my doctor later about it should it get worse, but I sent it to my mum in text. I had just lost my virginity and was texting my friend about it like a dumb teenager while still texting my girlfriend who I had just dropped off at home. Got my conversations crossed and sent her my detailed description of what we had done. Not me, but a co-worker. She came over to my desk and showed me a text she got from some woman saying she was leaving her husband. I'm female, with a male best friend. Not long after having a baby, I accidentally sent a text saying the bleeding has stopped, 6 tonight, to my best friend instead of my so. Nosabu's copyright airing. I remember once sending a message to my friend saying, "God dad, give me an excuse for not going home to I really don't wanna do that. He is so annoying." I'm an artist. Did a request for a NSFW monster girl. Sent it to my mom by accident. Luckily, she was outside dealing with the pool, so I ran down and deleted the message. She never saw it, but this could have easily turned really bad. My mother-in-law once sent a group text to her friends talking it about her own sister. Apparently she thought she was texting only her friends. Well, it turns out that she accidentally texted one of her sister's friends with the same name. Her sister called her a few minutes later and they got into a huge fight. It split up their families for a little bit. They still haven't spoken. This was 2 or 3 years ago. At the time, my daughter was angry my girlfriend was close to her age. She had just sent me an angry text about it. Not long after, I intended to send an "I love you" to my girlfriend, but sent it to my daughter instead. That wouldn't have been a problem. But I spoke a different language with my girlfriend, so my daughter knew who the intended recipient was. Kaboom. When I was 16, I screenshot a text from my mom that basically said I couldn't go out that night. Sent it back to her instead of my friend saying this it won't let me go anywhere. Grounded for an eternity. I got to work in the morning and settled in. My boss chewed me out for doing several things that she had told me to do in exactly the way she had told me to do them. And then I had to leave to go run errands for the business. While I was gone, I messaged my wife complaining about my boss and saying some pretty harsh things. Except I had messaged my boss. For bonus points, my wife worked there too and the boss was her longtime friend. When boss responded to message instead of wife, I legitimately almost peed my pants in fear. Returning to work was incredibly awkward. But despite having to deal with some passive aggressive attitude from boss, it blew over in time. Boss was and is known for taking her, often completely unrelated, frustrations out on employees in passive aggressive ways. So I don't think it was an incredible shock for her to learn that someone was fed up with it. Not really to the wrong person. I didn't intend on sending it at all. I was hanging out with my then girlfriend, and I had a question that I texted to my mom. My back button on my messaging app is very close to the voice text button, so sometimes I'd press back and at the same time accidentally send a voice text. I sent a 13-minute long message to my mother of my girlfriend and I making out. She says she didn't listen to it, but yeah, lol. I was the receiver of the text. A friend had moved to Nick and we'd had the "I'm going to miss you. OMG, you have to come visit" chat a couple of times, and we were good enough friends. So I thought that when I was going to visit family on Long Island, I didn't think twice of suggesting I stay in the city a night or two to see her and go out and whatever else. She seemed down, and nothing was amiss until I was texting her about my flight and whatever, and I got she totally just invited herself. She's real excited to see us. IDK what to tell her. It was clearly meant for her roommate, who was also from our town. They moved to Nick together. For about 2 minutes she tried to say that she was texting me about another girl who might be coming, and that there was a missing text that hadn't gone through. I assured her that I wouldn't bother her anymore, and that I'd go straight out to the island to see my family. Never spoke with her again. GF and I were having a fight, so I texted a friend asking for advice. Ops texted the GF instead. Well, now she's the ex-GF, so accidentally sent sounds good. I just gotta meet my dealer first to my boss. Just a few months ago I was sending a few pictures of me and my girlfriends posing in underwear in a big ass mirror and accidentally sent it to my boy best friend.